Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about whether you should pay off your own home or buy an investment property, which is one of the most common questions that we get asked. And I'm really privileged to be able to quiz Michael on this. Boz is an expert at all things property, and in particular, finding the 1%ers that are going to give you an advantage in your investment journey. So first of all, welcome, Boz. Great to see you.
Good to see you too, Matt.
All right, so we're going to cover off today what factors should individuals consider when weighing up the decision of whether to pay off their own home loan or invest in a new property, whether there are specific market trends or indicators that people should be on the lookout for, how might the tax benefits affect each of the different options, and how could an individual strike a balance between, I guess, the stability of home ownership with a low mortgage and growing their wealth with investments. So I know you're well armed to answer all these questions, so I'm going to throw it over to you. Let's kick it off. What factors should individuals consider when weighing up whether to pay off their own home or invest in a new property?
Look, it sounds very cliched that everyone's individual circumstance is going to be different, right? But I think in this kind of scenario, nothing is truer than that. The kind of things that I'd be suggesting people think about is, what's their time frame? So what would be their investment horizon? How long would they hold these investment properties for? When do they want to have their own home paid off? If they want to have their own home paid off in the next 6 to 12 months, then buying an investment property and relying on the growth in the very short term is not a super reliable strategy. So they're definitely things that people should consider. I guess how it aligns to their overall goals, but really it's the kind of cost benefit analysis that I'd be really recommending people hone into. As you say, it's a question we get all the time, right? What should I be doing with money? Should I pay my own home off or should I invest? And I find it really eye-opening. It's one of the most popular videos that we've ever done in terms of views is this one. And there's no reason why you can't do both, and specifically use the equity that is in your own home to invest, and then use the power of investment and the return on investment of minimal cash flow to make a much bigger dent in your mortgage or to pay your own home off far quicker. So to outline what I'm talking about there, if you own your own property, whether it's your own home or another investment even, you can take that equity and use that equity as the deposit and costs for an investment property. Now, if we think about what a smart property investment costs you to hold, on today's interest rates and rents, we're talking circa $150 a week. Okay, so just think about if you were to put an extra $150 a week, or an extra $600 a month, or an extra $7,000 a year against your mortgage, then it'll have some impact, but it won't be mind-blowing, the benefit, right? It's going to take you, it might shave 2-3 years off the 30-year repayment term. It's not going to be a game changer for you. But if you could hold an investment property for $150 a week and have all of this rental income from the tenants and all of the tax benefits from the government coming into your pocket to hold this asset, let's say $600,000 or $700,000, and very quickly, because of the rental shortage that we've got in Australia, we're seeing nearly double-digit rental increases each year. So it won't take very long for that $150 a week to become zero, and then for the property to actually become cash flow positive. Now, that's the bonus, because if the property's costing you nothing, then the growth that you get on it is really for free. And if we just use some really simple maths, let's say the purchase price is $650. Let's say that it's well chosen and doubles in a 10-year period, which is absolutely what we'd expect in market conditions like this based on history. Then that property is going to be worth $1.3 million in 10 years from now. Depending on whether you're still working and your taxable income, if you were to sell that property, then you might have a capital gains tax calculation that you'd have to pay. But even if we said round numbers, that's a third of the uplift. Let's say that you lose $200,000 in capital gains tax. You're left with about $400,000 to $450,000, and you could, in one fell swoop, pay that off your mortgage. You're going to get a much larger benefit than using that extra $150 a week to pay down the principal with extra repayments. So We often talk to people who are quite rightly really proud that they've paid their own home off or made a massive dent in their mortgage. The question that I get them to consider is, how much did it cost you out of your pocket to be able to achieve that outcome? And did you sacrifice your lifestyle as a result to pile all of this post-tax money against your mortgage? The answer is generally yes. We open their eyes to a different way of doing things. And quite often the question turns around to, oh, well, should I sell my own home and rent and build an investment portfolio? Not necessarily, because if you've had your home for a while, the heavy lifting's done in terms of creating the equity. That's what you need to build the portfolio. So again, every scenario is different, but if you combine the two and are really smart around how you get the maximum return on investment from a small amount of cash flow out of your pocket on a weekly basis, you can make a massive dent in the mortgage at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And financially, I can see how that makes sense. And I think that's really clear to a lot of people. I would imagine that many people would also think, but is it riskier? Am I risking my own home if I am taking equity out of it to invest in property? So how can you help people to understand the risk associated with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the risk comes from how equity is obtained, and the fact that risk comes from generally going back to the bank that has the mortgage on your own house. So this is generally how it works. You've got a loan with Bank A against your mortgage. Bank A are geniuses at marketing, a relationship and knowing your stuff and giving you a discount on the interest rate, all that kind of common stuff, assuming you satisfy the qualification criteria and you've got the property. What you don't know is how that is set up in the background. And if you use one property as direct security or collateral against an investment property, those properties are what we call cross-collateralized. After 20 years, I still can't say it properly. Cross-collateralized. Now, in English, what that means is that if something happens to you or to one of those properties, the other property is something that the bank can sell to recoup their money. So being able to use equity from your own home to build an investment portfolio has amazing positives, but the risk mitigation and the finance structure and having it set up the right way is paramount. The way that we do that is we would go back to the original lender that has the mortgage. We'd establish that equity loan. Let's say for 100K, I've got a diagram that shows this, so maybe we can overlay that on top of the audio. You'll see there's equity in a property. Establish that equity loan for 100,000, and we do nothing more in terms of lending with that bank on this transaction. We can pull that equity loan over to cover the deposit and costs on the investment, and then as you can see, for the rest of the finance for that investment property, we're going to a different bank than the one that has the mortgage on our own home. I'm not particularly fussed who it is. An expert broker can help you get these structures and sets them up as a matter of course. It's what we help our clients with. But fundamentally, by retaining control and separation over that lending, you're just building a firewall basically between your own home and the investments in your portfolio.
Great. So what you're saying is that taking the equity taking some of the equity from your principal place of residence, you can invest that in another property, put down a deposit for a second property. And by just going to one bank for the principal place of residence and going to a different bank for the investment property, you completely separate the risks. You're still required to continue paying your principal place of residence mortgage, of course. But your new investment property is completely separate with different funding, and you're going to have a tenant paying the rent, and you're going to have government tax subsidies contributing to that rent as well. And I would imagine that in many cases that the cost of holding that property is so small that even if there was an impact to your income, for instance, that you're not really going to be at risk of losing that property, let alone your principal place of residence, which is completely separate. So what I'm hearing is that people who have owned their property for a couple of years with either in Brisbane or Perth, where there's been really solid equity growth in the last couple of years. I think I read a stat, 44% capital growth in Brisbane in the last 3 years. Or parts of Melbourne or Sydney where there has been relatively strong returns in the last couple of years. And those people those principal people who own their own home are more likely to have equity and be in a position to buy an investment property. Obviously, if they've owned a property for 5 or more years, then almost anywhere that they are in Australia is likely to have experienced a fair amount of growth.